Every morning, one man walked toward the place everyone else was desperate to escape. Behind a long black robe and a haunting beaked mask was not a monster, but a doctor. A man asked to enter plague-ridden homes, examine the dying, count the dead, and somehow survive long enough to do it all again tomorrow. His strange mask was believed to protect him from poisoned air. His wooden cane kept terrified patients at a distance. But none of it could guarantee he would live to see another sunrise. This is the story of a man who faced one of history's deadliest diseases armed with little more than herbs, hope, and extraordinary courage. This is a day in the life of a plague doctor. Imagine waking each morning to fasten a mask onto your face. Not to hide who you are, but because it might be the only wall between you and a death that has already swallowed half your town. Imagine walking toward the sick while every instinct, every neighbor, every living soul around you is running the other way. Imagine touching what no one else will touch, kneeling beside bodies others won't even look at, and knowing with a certainty that sits cold in your chest, that the strange beaked mask on your face might do nothing to save you at all. By the mid-1300s, the Black Death had already carved through Europe, killing tens of millions. And it didn't stop there. Plague returned again and again, wave after wave, century after century, until entire cities learned to live inside the shadow of it. Into that horror walked a figure history would never forget: the plague doctor. Beaked mask, wide-brimmed hat, long waxed robe stiff as armor. An image so strange it still unsettles us centuries later. But it wasn't born from fashion or fear-mongering or myth. It was born from raw, desperate necessity, stitched together by people who had absolutely no idea what they were fighting. Today we step into the boots and the mask of one plague doctor, moving through a single day in a European city locked under quarantine, sometime in the blood-soaked chaos of the 17th century. From the first frantic knock on a dying family's door, to the final body counted before the sun goes down, this is what the job actually demanded. And by the time this day ends, you'll understand exactly why so few were willing to do it, and why the ones who did may have paid with far more than they bargained for. He wakes before the bells do, not because he's rested, but because sleep in a city like this never runs deep enough to matter. Outside his window, the streets are already wrong. No cartwheels, no merchants calling out prices, no children shrieking through alleys. Just silence, broken every so often by a distant sound he's learned to dread more than any scream. The low, rolling groan of a death cart, somewhere out there, already collecting the night's losses before the sun has fully risen. He sits up. Somewhere across the city, a bell will ring soon. Not for prayer, but for the dead. And he knows, before his feet even touch the floor, that today will ask more of him than yesterday did. It always does. The dressing begins in silence, and there is nothing casual about it. First, the linen shirt, plain and thin against his skin, the only part of this ritual that still feels human. Over it goes the overcoat, thick leather or heavy waxed canvas, stiff enough to stand nearly on its own. It isn't for warmth. It's a barrier built by guesswork and fear, meant to keep the sickness from ever touching his skin. Every layer he adds is another silent bet that today this coat, this wax, this leather will be enough to keep him alive. Gloves next. Then boots laced high and tight. Each piece fastened with the kind of care a soldier might give armor before marching into a battle he isn't sure he'll survive. Then comes the mask. It's the part strangers stare at, whisper about, cross the street to avoid. The long curved beak jutting out from his face like something not quite human. But there is no theater in it. Inside that beak, he packs dried herbs, crushed flowers, camphor, sharp-smelling spices, anything believed to cleanse the bad air. The corrupted miasma thought to carry the plague on its breath. He doesn't know about pathogens. No one does. Not yet. This is the best defense his era can offer him. Scent against sickness, herbs against horror. He fastens the mask and just like that his face disappears. What looks back from any reflection now isn't a man anymore. It's a warning. The wide-brimmed hat goes on next, marking him from a distance the way a soldier's helmet might. Here comes the plague doctor. And last, he takes up his cane, long wooden, worn smooth from use. It isn't a walking aid. It's a boundary. With it he can lift a blanket, point to a wound, hold a trembling stranger at arm's length without ever letting his skin meet theirs. In a world with no cure and no real understanding of contagion, distance is the only medicine he can fully control. He is not, by any stretch, an elite physician. Men like him rarely are. Some were doctors once, pushed aside by better-connected rivals. Some are simply desperate for coin the town is willing to pay for a job no one else wants. Some didn't choose this at all, they were assigned it whether they wanted the mask or not. Whatever brought him here, one truth remains merciless and unchanged. Today, he is the only thing standing between this city and total collapse. Before he leaves, he checks his tools one final time. A lancet kept sharp, for when buboes swell tight and black and have to be cut, whether the patient screams or not. And a ledger, its pages already half filled with names, waiting to record whichever names come next. Some of those names he already suspects belong to people who are still breathing right now. Not for much longer. He straightens the mask one last time, drawing in a slow breath through the herb-packed beak, bracing himself the way anyone would before walking into something they know might not let them walk back out. And that's when it happens. Before the final strap is even secure, before he's fully ready, footsteps come pounding up the street outside. Fast, frantic, panicked. A fist slams against his door once, twice, refusing to stop. A voice on the other side is already breaking apart with grief, begging him to come quickly, insisting there's no time left to lose. The first call of the day has arrived, and judging by the sheer terror in that voice outside his door, whatever is waiting for him out there is going to be far worse than anything he prepared for this morning. The door in front of him is marked with a rough red cross, painted in haste, already flaking at the edges. He's seen a dozen doors like this one this week alone. He'll see a dozen more before this day is finished. A watchman stands off to the side, close enough to guard the house, far enough to keep his own distance from whatever waits inside, because everyone in this city has learned the same brutal lesson. Proximity to the sick is a gamble no one wins twice. He steps through the doorway, and the smell hits him before anything else does. Sickness has a scent all its own, one that never fully leaves a person once they've breathed it in. In the dim light, a figure lies on a straw mattress, drenched in sweat, shaking with a fever that seems to be devouring them from the inside out. He kneels beside them with his cane, not his hands, and gently pulls back the blanket. What he finds is exactly what he feared. Swollen, blackened lumps rising beneath the skin, tight and angry, the kind that mark a person as already halfway gone. He has no cure. Not really. What he has are tools built on guesswork. A lancet to open the swollen buboes, hoping to release whatever poison is trapped inside. Herbal poultices pressed against the wounds, meant to draw sickness out through the skin. Sometimes bloodletting, cutting the patient further, believing an imbalance in the body's humors is somehow feeding the disease. He works quickly, efficiently, the way a man works when he already suspects his efforts won't be enough, but tries anyway, because trying is the only thing left within his power. A mother kneels at the foot of the bed, gripping her child's hand, whispering promises she has no way of keeping. She looks up at him with eyes that are pleading and furious all at once, pleading for a miracle, furious that he doesn't seem to have one. In another house, a husband will scream at him to leave, blaming the mask itself, as if the doctor brought this horror with him rather than arrived to fight it. Grief doesn't reason. Grief just needs somewhere to go, and today he is standing close enough to catch it. Before he leaves, he opens his ledger and writes the name down, one more entry in a list that grows heavier by the hour. He is not only a healer here. He is the closest thing this city has to a record keeper of its own collapse, the one tasked with turning tragedy into numbers the town officials will read from a safe distance, in houses far from here, houses the sickness hasn't touched. Because it hasn't touched everyone equally. Not even close. Those with money and connections fled weeks ago, retreating to countryside estates where the air is clean and the streets aren't lined with sealed doors. The people left behind, crammed into narrow homes, unable to leave, unable to afford to leave, are the ones absorbing this nightmare in full. Some houses have been sealed entirely, every soul inside locked in together once just one of them fell ill, guarded by watchmen under orders to let no one out. Whether that mercy or that sentence saves the city or destroys entire families one by one, no one can say for certain yet. He moves to the next house, and the next after that. each one wearing the same red mark, each one holding its own version of the same devastation. Sometimes his treatments seem to offer some relief. Sometimes, more often than he'd like to admit, even to himself, they do nothing at all, or worse, hasten what was already coming. He doesn't dwell on that thought for long. He can't afford to. There isn't time and there isn't room, not with so many doors still waiting. There is also, uncomfortably, coin involved in some of these visits, a fee charged for his time, his risk, his rapidly dwindling protection. In a city collapsing under grief, healing has become a transaction as much as a calling. And not everyone can look at that truth kindly. But someone has to keep walking through these doors. Someone has to keep trying, even when trying rarely seems to be enough. Beneath the mask, hidden from every grieving family he kneels beside, his own fear never fully quiets. He has seen this disease take the young and the old, the strong and the weak, without pattern, without mercy, without warning. His herbs, his robe, his careful distance, none of it comes with any guarantee. Every home he enters is a gamble he cannot calculate the odds of, and he knows it, even as he steps through one more doorway anyway. Every single door he knocks on could be hiding a cure that simply does not exist. He knows that. He's always known that. And still he knocks, because if he doesn't, no one else will, and the city has no one else left to send. By midday, his ledger is already thick with names, and the sun outside is only just beginning to climb. Somewhere beyond these sealed doors, the rest of the city is unraveling in ways he hasn't even witnessed yet, and something tells him the house of the dying is only the beginning of what today has planned for him. So tell me, if you were the one wearing that mask, walking into a house you knew might be your last, would you still knock on the next door? Or would you finally turn and run? Make sure you're subscribed, because what happens next in this city under siege is about to get far, far worse. He steps back out into the street, and for a moment, he almost forgets what this city used to look like. The market square, once loud with haggling voices and the smell of fresh bread, now sits empty and silent, stalls abandoned mid-collapse, shutters nailed shut over windows that will not open again anytime soon. A city built for thousands of voices has been reduced to the sound of his own boots against stone, and somewhere beneath that silence, something far worse is moving through the streets alongside him. He hears it before he sees it. The slow grinding creak of wooden wheels. A cart, pulled by an exhausted horse, already piled with bodies wrapped in whatever cloth their families could spare. A man walks beside it, calling out the same grim phrase over and over, a phrase this city has grown sick of hearing and can't stop hearing anyway. Bring out your dead. Doors creak open. Bundles are carried out, some small enough to break anyone's resolve. The cart keeps moving. It always keeps moving. There is no version of this day where it stops early. Bells ring somewhere across the rooftops, not the warm, familiar toll of Sunday Mass, but a slower, heavier rhythm, counting losses the city has stopped bothering to hide. Gravediggers work in shifts near the edge of town, carving out pits wide enough to hold far more than any single family should ever share, because there simply isn't time or room, or enough hands left standing to do this any other way. Fear like this doesn't stay quiet for long. It needs somewhere to go, someone to blame, and today, he watches it curdle into whispers on every corner, rumors about outsiders who supposedly brought the sickness in, accusations flung at anyone who looks or prays differently, wild talk of poisoned wells and corrupted air deliberately unleashed on the innocent. None of it is true. All of it spreads anyway, faster than the disease itself, because fear this deep doesn't ask for evidence, it only asks for a target. Ahead, a procession moves slowly down the street. A line of townspeople, heads bowed, voices rising in prayer, begging whatever God they still believe in to lift this horror from their city. A priest walks near the front, though he notices something troubling. This same priest hesitates outside certain doors now, offering last rites from the threshold rather than stepping fully inside, torn between duty and the same fear infecting everyone else. Even faith, it seems, has learned to keep its distance. Watchmen stand posted outside sealed houses, under orders that feel almost unbearably cruel and yet somehow necessary. Entire families locked inside from the outside, condemned to share whatever fate awaits the one relative who fell ill first. He's heard the pounding on doors from within. He's heard what happens when that pounding eventually stops. And still, the watchmen hold their position, because the alternative, letting the sickness spread unchecked through every street in the city, is even worse to imagine. Not everyone obeys the rules, though. He passes a merchant quietly trading goods through a half-opened window, ignoring quarantine entirely, chasing profit while the city burns around him. Coins change hands, dipped first into a bowl of vinegar, a desperate ritual believed to cleanse away whatever unseen poison might be clinging to the metal. Letters are passed the same way, doused and dried before anyone dares touch them. No one here understands why the plague truly spreads. Everyone is guessing. Some guesses will save lives. Others, he suspects grimly, are only comforting illusions. Even his own presence on these streets stirs something uneasy in the people around him. Some regard him with something close to reverence, the masked figure brave enough to walk toward the dying when everyone else fled. Others flinch and step aside the moment they see him coming, eyes narrowing behind shutters and doorways, wondering if the mask meant to protect him might also be carrying the very sickness he's fighting from house to house. He is, in this city, both savior and suspect, and some days he honestly isn't sure which reputation frightens him more. Further along, past the sealed doors of the poor, he catches sight of a grand estate standing untouched and silent, gates locked, windows dark. Its wealthy owners fled for the countryside weeks ago, leaving behind a city where the poor have nowhere left to run and no choice but to face this disaster head-on, day after day, door after door. The plague, he's learned, was never going to be endured equally. It never is. By the time he finally starts making his way back through the quiet, devastated streets, the sun is beginning its slow descent, casting long shadows over empty stalls and sealed doorways. The bells have gone quiet. The death cart has vanished around some distant corner. For a fleeting moment, the city almost feels still, almost peaceful, in the same eerie way a battlefield feels once the fighting has paused. But he knows better than to trust that stillness. Because somewhere behind him, faint but unmistakable, he hears it again, the slow, grinding creak of another cart's wheels starting up. And this time, it's heading straight toward the very street he just left behind. His day is nowhere near finished. And judging by what's coming up that street right now, neither is the worst of it. By the time he finally reaches home, the light outside has turned the color of dying embers, and every muscle in his body feels like it's carrying the weight of everyone he couldn't save today. He doesn't step inside right away. He can't. Not yet. Not dressed like this. Standing just outside his own door, he begins peeling away the day's protection piece by piece, and every motion is deliberate, almost reverent, because one careless touch here could undo everything he survived out there. The gloves come off first, turned inside out the way he was taught, handled like they might still be holding something alive. The waxed overcoat follows, stiff with the day's sweat and grime, folded away from his skin, away from his home, away from anyone he loves. Last comes the mask, and the moment it lifts away from his face, he finally allows himself one long, unsteady breath of open air, uncertain whether it tastes like relief or simply borrowed time. He washes with vinegar, then wine, scrubbing at hands and arms and throat, chasing away whatever invisible danger might still be clinging to his skin. He doesn't know, not really, if any of this works. No one does. But stopping, choosing not to believe in it, feels like a risk he cannot afford to take, not when the alternative is doing nothing at all. Inside, by lamplight, he opens his ledger one final time and finishes what the day started. Name after name after name, added to a tally that has grown far heavier than he'd like to admit, even to himself. Each line is a person. Each person had a home, a family, a morning much like his own. He closes the ledger slowly, the weight of it lingering long after the cover shuts. His evening meal is small, simple, and eaten alone, not because no one wants his company, but because he refuses to risk theirs. His family eats in another room tonight, as they have for weeks now, a wall and a closed door standing between him and the people he's most afraid of losing. He can hear them faintly through the wood, quiet voices, careful laughter, the ordinary sounds of a life he's terrified he might be bringing an ending to without ever meaning to, because that fear never really leaves him. Somewhere beneath every precaution, every herb-packed mask, every vinegar wash, sits the same relentless question. What if today was the day it finally got through? What if he carries it home tonight, invisible, silent, already spreading through his own household before morning? He has watched families collapse from a single infected touch. He knows with brutal clarity that his own home is not immune simply because he wishes it were. There's another fear too, quieter but just as persistent, the fear of blame. If a patient dies tonight, tomorrow, next week, will grieving families remember his effort, or only his failure? Will they see a man who tried everything within his limited power, or simply the mask that walked away while their loved one didn't survive? In a city desperate for someone to hold responsible, he knows exactly how easily that someone could become him. He kneels for a moment before sleep, murmuring a prayer he's repeated so many times now the words barely feel like his own anymore. Some in this city believe the plague is punishment, divine anger unleashed on a sinful world. Others blame corrupted air, invisible poison drifting through the streets, settling into lungs without warning. He isn't entirely sure which explanation he believes, if either. All he knows is that hope, right now, is built almost entirely out of ritual, vinegar, herbs, prayer, distance, because a real cure simply does not exist, and pretending otherwise would be its own kind of dangerous. Even friendship has grown cautious around him lately. Neighbors who once greeted him warmly now offer only a nod from a careful distance, eyes flicking toward the mask hanging by his door as if it alone might be dangerous even at rest. He understands why. He doesn't blame them, but understanding it doesn't make the isolation sting any less. When he finally lies down, sleep doesn't come easily. Outside, faint and scattered, he can still hear the unmistakable sounds of mourning drifting through the streets. A distant wail, a hushed prayer, the occasional creak of yet another cart moving somewhere in the dark. The city doesn't sleep tonight. Not really. And some nights neither does he. He reaches for the lamp, hesitating for just a moment before finally extinguishing it. Tomorrow, he already knows, will bring the same mask, the same houses, the same impossible task waiting behind every red-marked door. There is no reason to believe tomorrow will be any kinder than today was. And as darkness settles fully over the room, one last chilling thought refuses to leave him. There is absolutely no guarantee that when tomorrow's mask is finally lifted away, he'll still be the one wearing it, and not the next name written into someone else's ledger, lying still beneath a sheet, waiting for a card of his own. Today, that beaked mask shows up everywhere. On Halloween costumes, horror movie posters, Venetian carnival stalls. Worn as a symbol of dread, mystery, sometimes even camp. But somewhere along the way, the image swallowed the man who once wore it for real. We remember the mask. We rarely stop to remember the person breathing behind it, because that person was real. He woke every single morning in a city collapsing under grief, knowing full well his herbs and leather and wax might do absolutely nothing against what he was walking toward. He had no cure, no real understanding of what he was even fighting. And still, door after door, house after house, he showed up anyway, while almost everyone else who had the means to disappear did exactly that. His methods, by any modern standard, were often flawed, sometimes painfully useless, occasionally even harmful. Lancing, bloodletting, herb-stuffed masks against invisible poison in the air. None of it was medicine as we'd recognize it today. But strip away the mistakes, and something remains that no failed theory can erase. The courage it took to walk toward a disease that had already proven, over and over, exactly what it was capable of. In his own imperfect, desperate way, he represented one of history's earliest attempts at organized public health, someone willing to record the dead, treat the dying, and hold a crumbling city together, one impossible visit at a time. And the contrast couldn't be sharper. While the wealthy retreated to quiet countryside estates, safely removed from the wreckage, the city itself crumbled into fear, silence, and suspicion. And through all of it, a masked figure kept walking. Street after street, door after door, armed with nothing more than dried herbs, a wooden cane, and sheer stubborn nerve. History loves remembering kings, generals, the names carved onto monuments. It rarely remembers men like this one, uncertain beneath his mask, terrified for his own family, utterly unsure if today would be the day the disease finally caught up with him. And yet he still fastened that mask each morning and walked back out anyway. If you really want to understand how societies survive their darkest chapters, don't just study the ones who fled. Study the ones who stayed. Mask fastened, cane in hand, walking straight into the one house everyone else had already given up on. So here's the question worth sitting with. If you had lived in that city, watched everyone you trusted disappear behind locked gates and countryside walls, would you have been the one still knocking on doors, or the one who ran? Subscribe and stay close, because Hidden Origins is only getting started uncovering the story's history left behind the mask.